Every significant sports scandal has a very particular point in its life cycle when the truth ultimately becomes too painful to conceal. The basketball establishment has been involved in a well-planned, extremely annoying operation of gaslighting for weeks. They made eye contact with the fans. They made eye contact with the experts. They made an effort to persuade everyone that keeping Caitlin Clark on the bench was a clever, essential, and extremely advanced tactical move. They discussed the leadership of veterans. They discussed making payments. They discussed the intricate, unspoken regulations governing the U.S. national squad. However, anyone with a working eye and a rudimentary grasp of contemporary basketball geometry could see that it was a complete farce the entire time. It was an error. It was a startling mistake of skill. And at last, we've hit the tipping point. The dam has collapsed. Interim head coach Nate Tibbetts won the podium following Team USA's 101-46 complete destruction of New Zealand. If you pay close attention to what he actually said, it is the closest thing to a formal admission of guilt you will ever hear from a national team coach, even though he attempted to wrap his remarks in coach talk and shield the delicate egos of the seasoned veterans. This news conference will be subjected to a brutal microscopic dissection. We will remove the political correctness, examine the official box score, and reveal the reasons behind the coaching staff's current predicament. We will demonstrate why Caitlin Clark is not only a starter, but also the indisputable cornerstone around which this entire team must be constructed. Now, let's set the scenario. At last, Caitlin Clark is given the start. Although everyone in the basketball community is relieved, the first few minutes of the match versus New Zealand don't appear to be a smooth, well-sailed machine. The offense appears to be a little disorganized, and IT appears reluctant. Additionally, Nate Tippett discusses this particular sluggishness when he takes the microphone following the game.
I think, early game, back-to-back, quick turnaround. We weren't great in the first quarter, and I thought the last three quarters we really stepped up, competed. I thought our second group came in and really set the tone.
Pay attention to the wording. The first quarter wasn't very good for us. Our second group really established the tone, in my opinion. Clickbait artists and the mainstream media seized upon this phrase right away. They attempted to portray it as a criticism of Caitlin Clark. They attempted to assert that Caitlin Clark's first start was a failure, according to the coach. However, if you truly get basketball's X's and O's, you will see that Tibbetts isn't disparaging Caitlin Clark. He is unintentionally ignoring the formation of his own lineup. He is acknowledging a serious, basic error in the way they are assigning their staff. You don't match the most deadly, high-octane, pace-pushing point player in the history of the sport with another ball-dominant, methodical, slow-paced point guard. However, the coaching staff of Team USA accomplished just that. Alongside Chelsea Gray, they started Caitlin Clark. Gray is a legend. Although she plays at an entirely different frequency, she is an incredible player. She is a meticulous, grinding, half-court floor general. Caitlin Clark is a blurry logo shooter, fast breaker, and transition pusher. You consciously create a tactical paradox when you place them on the floor together, in a one-lane construction zone. You are requesting that a Ferrari follow a tractor. The systemic hierarchy requires Clark to yield to the veteran even though she wants to accelerate the pace as soon as the ball leaves the hoop. She hesitates as a result. There is a compression of the spacing. Because the United States is willingly walking the ball up the floor, the New Zealand defense, which ought to be completely afraid of the speed, is able to set up in the half-court with ease. Nate Tibbetts is totally correct when he claims that the initial group lacked it and failed to set the tone. However, this isn't due to the players' lack of skill. It's due to a huge chemistry mistake made by the coaching staff. By initiating Clark, they attempted to please both the public and the veterans. They produced an awkward, incompatible starting five as a result.
And that's what you want, right? You want that consistency from group to group. The first group didn't have it. They didn't set the tone, but the second group came out and did a really good.
It was absent from the first group. They didn't establish the mood. However, the second group emerged and performed admirably. Let's examine this second squad that entered and purportedly came to the rescue. Angel Reese and Ryan Howard were among the players on the bench. Ryan Howard shot 6 out of 10 from three-point range and scored 18 points. Angel ran and took control of the glass right away. They had an amazing appearance. However, why did they appear so amazing? Did they create a brand new offense out of thin air? Not at all. Despite their awkward spacing, the opening unit had just spent the last 7 minutes tiring the New Zealand defense, which is why they looked fantastic. Caitlin Clark's very presence on the floor functions like a gravitational black hole, even when she is made to play in a slow, methodical manner. On each possession, she dragged 2 defenders with her. She made the guards from New Zealand navigate numerous screens. She sapped the opposition's mental and physical vitality. As a result, the defense was already struggling to stay afloat when the second unit entered the game. The foundation set by the starters was expertly exploited by the bench mob. The coaching staff is aware of this basic law of basketball physics. However, when a reporter asked Tibbetts specifically about the disorganized offense, it was the most damaging moment of the entire press conference and the comment that formally reveals the coaching staff's internal disarray.
Tournament and just talking to Kara and our coaching staff is it's not always easy for players to get into a rhythm when the coaches are messing with the lineups, and part of that is just seeing.
We are only a few months away from the WNBA season. The team is getting ready for major international tournaments, and the coaching staff is openly admitting that they are treating the United States national team like a chaotic science experiment. It's not always easy for players to get into a rhythm when the coaches are messing with the lineups. Part of that is just seeing who works well together and who doesn't. There it is, right out of the mouth of the interim head coach, messing with the lineups. You don't experiment with lineups to see what works when you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark on your squad. She is not handled as a variable in a science fair project. You turn her into the system's unquestionable cornerstone. Then you discover the 4 players who are ideal for her vision, pace, and spacing. Caitlin Clark was never unprepared to begin. The coaching staff's fear of formally handing over the kingdom's keys is the error. They are afraid of disrupting the established order of veterans. Therefore, in the spirit of locker room diplomacy, they keep shuffling the deck and playing political games with the minutes and rotations, sacrificing offensive flow. The box score from this game serves as the final prosecutor in the case against the coaching staff, since Caitlin Clark's absolute domination just cannot be repressed, regardless of how much they tamper with the lineups and how awkward the structure they put in place around her. The idea that the initial unit was a failure is totally refuted. Caitlin Clark played 23 minutes in a game where the coach freely acknowledged the starter had trouble finding a rhythm. Even so, she managed a huge blowout. She scored 14 points, dished out 6 assists, and did it with a level of hyper-efficiency that shows she is actively improving her game to defeat international defensive schemes. She shot 4 for 4 on 2-point field goal attempts, a perfect 100% from inside the arc. When the New Zealand defense desperately ran her off the 3-point line, she calmly snaked into the paint, used her elite footwork, and knocked down automatic mid-range jumpers and floaters. She is turning into a 3-level assassin. She had an incredible plus 24 at the end of the game. The United States scored 24 more points than New Zealand during her time on the court. Despite the coaches continually experimenting with incompatible lineups around her, she produced more positive influence than nearly every other player on the roster. Both the math and the tape are truthful. The last and most annoying part of this whole media circus is brought about by this indisputable, overpowering creation. The disdain that permeates the press room and beyond the hardwood.
Dominant performance. I mean, I don't really... I feel like, how come Caitlin Clark not at the podium yet? Like, she should have got player of the game or something. Even the first game that she went off in, she didn't get invited to the...
This video's commentator is justifiably extremely enraged. Why isn't Caitlin Clark at the podium yet? She ought to have won player of the game, for example. Man, I have no idea. There are some amusing things happening with these folks. He is drawing attention to a structural pattern of marginalization. Caitlin Clark is not welcome to the podium after making an incredible double-double after coming off the bench. When she does start, she scores 14 points, makes 100% of her 2-point attempts, and helps the team win by 55 points. While the coaches and other players use the microphones, she is kept in the locker room. It's not a coincidence the coaching staff and the media relations department made this well-thought-out decision in an effort to manage the narrative. They are making a valiant effort to demonstrate that this team is stronger than Caitlin Clark. They wish to draw attention to the depth. They wish to draw attention to the veterans. The second element is what they wish to emphasize. They will do all in their ability to keep the narrative from focusing solely on her. However, it is a feeble and humiliating endeavor. Placing your hand in front of your face will not shield you from the sun. To prove her greatness, Caitlin Clark doesn't have to sit at a folding table and respond to the same old questions from reporters. She doesn't need to be named player of the game by a media group that is intentionally working to stifle her brilliance. The moment she reaches half court and the opposition defense goes into utter fear, she is validated. The sold-out stadiums, the record-breaking TV ratings, and the pure dread in the eyes of the international point guards who are compelled to protect her serve as her affirmation. The lineups are open to manipulation by the coaching staff. To placate the veterans, they can keep starting her with players that aren't compatible. They are able to prevent her from approaching the podium. However, the truth is already known, and Nate Tibbetts unintentionally verified it. The trials are not working. The conventional hierarchy is out of date. This team only appears to be an unstoppable, synchronized, terrifying basketball machine when Caitlin Clark is in possession of the ball and is free to control the game's tempo. The last confrontation will take place in the upcoming match versus Spain. New Zealand is not Spain. Spain is a worldwide superpower with exceptional discipline and tactical acumen. They won't let the US get through a clumsy, fragmented opening quarter. They will penalize each and every misunderstanding. Every single weak lineup combination will be exploited. Nate Tibbetts and the coaching staff will be in a fierce battle if they don't quit tinkering, acknowledge their error, and create a starting five that is fully optimized around Caitlin Clark's generational spacing and playmaking. Political correctness is out of style. Veteran egos no longer need to be protected. The best player on the floor is known to everyone. Fans are aware of it. The analytics support this. It's time for Team USA to give the crown to the queen of contemporary basketball and quit playing games. I appreciate you coming to the movie room with me today. We reject the lies propagated by the mainstream. Clickbait is not acceptable to us, and we will always reveal the reality concealed behind the box score. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a like if you want the most brutal, strategically precise basketball analysis available online. Tell me in the space provided for comments below. When facing Spain, will the coaching staff finally surround Caitlin Clark with runners and shooters in the starting lineup? Or will they keep undermining the offense by making her play with veterans who are slow and deliberate? I'll see you in the upcoming breakdown.